What famous place is not worth visiting? If you enjoy this video, please consider clicking the red subscribe button below for new videos every single day. Times Square on New Year's Eve. Just forget it. It has never been worth it. I remember a radio host I heard as a kid said the following: "The amazing thing about Times Square on New Year's Eve isn't that you get tens of thousands of people there every year. It's that you get a whole different set of tens of thousands of people there each year. Nobody wants to do it twice because it's cold and boring and crowded and filthy. You'll also never see the ball drop unless you're willing to wait all day and risk soiling yourself in the freezing cold while you sober up too soon. In case anyone thinks you're joking, people really do piss themselves at this thing. There's nowhere to go. Used to work around there. People wear diapers for it. They used to dump them on the street I worked on. So gross." In 3rd grade, a meteor crashed in the backyard of a kid's house in my neighborhood. He talked about it every day at school and said people weren't allowed to see because NASA was collecting samples. A few days later, he said we could go see, but everyone had to pay $5. Me and a few friends paid him and went over his house later that day. When we got to the backyard, we saw a 3-foot deep hole that was clearly dug by a shovel. We called him out on it and he said something like, "That's where it landed, but the scientists dug around it with shovels to take samples." Worst $5 I've ever spent. I have no idea where you are nowadays, but F you, Benji. Plymouth Rock in Plymouth, Massachusetts. It's literally just a small rock. It's not even the real thing. It was brought there just to have something symbolic to look at, but no one has any clue where the pilgrims landed in Plymouth. It wasn't even their first landing. They landed in Cape Cod and found it easier to set up camp in Plymouth. Cape Cod was too expensive even then. Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's a sidewalk, and outside of maybe big events, where they may clean the ones around where photos may be taken, it otherwise is just covered in dirt from people's shoes, and some are barely legible because they haven't been cleaned in ages. Haha, this is the answer for sure. Every time I'm in LA and someone wants to go, I'm like, look, whatever's in your head, keep that image. It's just better, I promise. That being said, walking it and finding stars is kinda fun if you have to walk that street anyways. Like, it's a fun street to walk, just a terrible place to have as a destination. Yeah, I was disappointed in how dirty the whole area was. Hollywood Walk of Fame. Dirty ass street, with cheap shops and homeless everywhere. Only nice spot was near the theater. Downtown Los Angeles is also a filthy wasteland. It's weird because there are high rises everywhere that have tons of Fortune 500 companies in them. Yet, just outside are tent cities and half-dead, drug-addicted zombies everywhere. I can't imagine what those businesses say to people traveling from out of town or from another country. Not sure how the mayor's office doesn't do shit, knowing how bad that is for the image of the city. At least downtown Chicago and Manhattan are relatively clean. Downtown LA looks like everyone has completely given up and just ceded the city to crackheads. Downtown LA was the only city I have ever been to where I didn't feel safe walking around midday on a random weekday. My wife and I were supposed to spend 3 days downtown in the Millennium Biltmore, but we cancelled our reservation after 1 day and stayed at a hotel in Glendale instead. Niagara Falls is a really cool sight, but it's not worth a trip if you're staying on the American side. The Canadian side is way better and has more things to do. I live 15 minutes from Niagara Falls, and our family was talking about this just yesterday. There's a major international tourist attraction right on their doorstep, but the city of Niagara Falls, New York, is a crime-ridden dump. You can see Mount Rushmore perfectly fine from the road. No need to pay to see it. Did you go recently? It was completely redone when I visited in 2017, and people there were saying it was night and day compared to the before. Oh, that's good. I hadn't mentioned it in my first comment about Rushmore, because I was hoping that was the case. Land's End, UK. Heralded as the 4th most disappointing attraction in the UK, it's not even disappointing enough to win an award. Edit. I mean, the landmark in Cornwall not a clothing store. Dearie me, if you're going to Cornwall, I hear the Butte Tunnel is the one attraction you can't afford to miss. Me, an Egyptian. Ah, shit, here we go again. Egypt, they treat tourists like garbage. Yeah, heard that from multiple people. I guess I'll just stay in the hotel then. Depends on whether you're man or woman. I, as a woman, couldn't even get the Wi-Fi password without a man accompanying me. The waiters were also terrible and flirtatious. Though, if you're a man, you have to deal with the salesman. We couldn't lay by the pool at the hotel for more than 15 minutes before a salesman wanted to talk with the man of the group. Although, indeed, they have a lot of problems with gender discrimination. The real problem with Egypt is how they treat non-locals as basically a profit-making thing. They won't see you as people, and the system in place is so corrupt that unless you really know what you are getting into, you will be scammed or treated like garbage. Also, a lot of businesses, like hotels, restaurants, and shops, make a lot of money on the side within this corrupt system by offering their guests as cattle for side services and con scams. They won't get punished if they do it and get caught, so it's fair game to book a room to a guest and then send a salesperson to try to sell you whatever they are peddling. Worst case scenario, they get nothing extra. Best case scenario, you book one of those scam tours, or go to whatever shop they are from, and the hotel gets a percentage. You are a thing being pushed from seller to seller. Reading a lot of frustration about Egypt here, but learning about the existence of camel pimps really takes this up a notch. Egypt is one of the destinations where it's 100% better to do it with a guided tour. The guides keep the worst of the scammers away and organize all the permits that you actually need and whatever. Highly recommend. While the Louvre is amazing and can consume entire days of walking, don't bother fighting the crowds to see the Mona Lisa. It's tiny and has a crowd of tourists, dozens deep, all taking pictures. No flash photography, be damned. So all you see is flash reflecting off the protective glass. Also, rumor has it that the real Mona Lisa is in a basement, and that the one you see is just a very convincing replica. Dubai is a twisted parody of everything wrong with modern society, and I judge anyone who goes there for their Insta pics. Edit. Grammar, because I used there like a fool. And also, thank you for silver. Dubai is a fire festival made into a city. The giant housing on artificial islands everyone sees are falling into the ocean and are an ecological nightmare. I read some comment online that Dubai is like someone was playing SimCity in sandbox mode and just said F it to any kind of planning or organization. Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. It used to be the border between the US and Soviet sectors, but all that's left of it is a shack and a sign, and the only thing you can do is pay to get your photo taken with someone in uniform. There's a frickin' McDonald's next to it. I was looking for this. God, it was disappointing. I seem to recall there was a really badly dressed soldier who you could take pictures with for €5. Quite enjoyed the DDR museum though. Leaning Tower of Pisa. Just a small town without much going on. Then a ton of tourists pretending to hold it up. Go to Florence instead. Pisa should be done as a train day trip from Florence. Within that mentality, Pisa is a great town. See the tower with the baptistery and crypts, then the university gardens, then back to the train for dinner in Florence. Italian here. Pisa is a nice place, peaceful, but I definitely wouldn't travel all the way from the US just to see the tower. Mall of America. It's literally just a giant mall with the same stores as a small mall. Sometimes even the same store twice. I actually really loved it, and I enjoyed that it was never packed any time I went. Summer of 2019. However, if you are traveling just to see them all, then you will probably be in for a world of disappointment. It was just something we hit along the way a couple times. Stonehenge. Sorry UK folks, I love you, and I love the UK, but 5 minutes at Stonehenge is enough. Edit. Okay, I might have been exaggerating when I said 5 minutes is enough. I do appreciate the history and significance of it, so maybe 30 minutes is more reasonable. The Empire State Building. It's $44 to $77 and you wait for like 90 minutes to get into the first elevator, then wait at least another 90 minutes to go further up. I gave up after 2 hours total and went and had fun in the city instead of spending 3 to 4 hours of my life standing in line. I was fortunate to go on top of the World Trade Center in 2000, and I'm sure the views were much better from there, and my understanding is, top of the Rock is much better organized, shorter waits, and better views of Midtown today.